Yeah, they certainly are significant talks, Kieran. 18 nations taking part in total. Of course, the 10 ASEAN nations, as well as the United States, Russia, China, Japan, Korea, Australia and New Zealand as well. So some real heavy hitters in that list. And, of course, everyone will be watching US President Barack Obama. Everyone here is pretty excited that he is coming to town. And, of course, it's his first overseas trip since being re-elected as president. He'll be keen to show that he means business when it comes to America's pivot towards Asia, but also China's Premier Wen Jiabao. Just a week ago, his country underwent a pretty monumental political shift as well, the once-in-a-decade transition of government. So seeing the dynamic between him and Barack Obama will be very interesting, particularly in the frame of the disputes in the South China Sea. That is something that is expected to come up in these talks, because it's not just about trade, it's also about security of the region as well. Even though China doesn't want that issue discussed, it is likely to come up.
And David, what is Australia hoping to get out of these talks?
Well, Julia Gillard arrives here late this afternoon. Probably the most important thing for Australia will be happening on the margins. It's known as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. It's a major trade negotiation that the leaders involved hope will be formally launched at the talks here in Phnom Penh over the next couple of days. If successful somewhere in the future, this would create the world's biggest economic trade bloc, and that is of course very significant for Australia, which is part of the club, and it would also include 8 of Australia's top 10 trading partners. So clearly something significant. It wouldn't happen anytime soon, but that is something that Julia Gillard and the Trade Minister Craig Emerson will be hoping to kickstart over the next couple of days.
There's been a bit of a focus on Cambodia's human rights record. How's that playing out?
Well, it's the first time that Cambodia has hosted the East Asia Summit, and it certainly puts Prime Minister Hun Sen right in the spotlight, for better or worse. He does have some things to boast about. Of course, the country has come a very long way since the killing fields, and indeed he can now talk of economic growth of 6% per year, but he's hardly a model citizen for democracy. He staged a coup in '97, and ever since then he's held on to power with a pretty iron grip. He certainly instills fear into his opponents. His political party is completely dominant over any opposition, and indeed Human Rights Watch believe that more than 300 people have been killed for political reasons in the last couple of decades. President Barack Obama has been urged to take a pretty hard line with him, but diplomatically that is of course a little bit tricky with the host. Certainly Julia Gillard has no plans to sit down for bilateral talks with Prime Minister Hun.
David Lipson, thanks very much.
Thank you, Kieran.